exhausted your personal funds, you've exhausted your credit cards, you've tapped every friend and family you know that has the ability to give you money, and you still need to grow your business. So where do you go? The thing about crowdfunding is you really shouldn't do that until you've actually got a website, probably a blog, and an awful lot of social media outreach. Because how are you going to get people to that site to invest in you if all you do is launch a Kickstarter campaign and say, I need to raise $50,000? Who's going to find you? Have you ever been on Kickstarter? I mean, there are thousands of people there trying to find money. So you have to sort of do the first part of that first. Get a website, get social media, get Twitter followers, get Instagram followers, get whoever, you know, get Facebook followers, so that when you've launched the Kickstarter campaign, you actually can go to all of these resources and get them to go on the site and give you the money. So that should be like step one. There are so many people now that is their business. I mean, you can outsource that to somebody. Their business is creating your social media presence. They know everything about every site, who's going there, how many hits you need, how you get traction. I mean, that's a business. The other thing you have to realize is that there's a fee to that. So if you want to raise $50,000, those fees are anywhere from 4 to 5% of that money. And if you, on certain sites, if you don't raise the money you said you're going to raise, like Indiegogo, you don't have to raise the goal money, but if you don't, now that fee is 9%. In addition to the upfront fees, there's processing fees, because people pay through like PayPal or credit card, and those processing fees can be anywhere to 3 to 5%. So you have to build that in when you're determining how much money you want to raise. You got to make sure you're building in these fees. The other thing, and this is just very, very recent, so in October of 2015, after passing the ability to crowdfund, they actually have always had the ability to crowdfund equity for accredited investors. And accredited investors are people that have over $250,000 in income or $1 million in liquidity. So a lot of venture capitalists and VCs or angels that didn't want to do anything too structured or formal were going on these equity crowdfunding sites like Seed Invest, and they would put their money, and you as an entrepreneur could go to them and get money. But the problem with them is they work a lot like VCs, and they only like certain industries. But as of October of 2015, they've now opened crowdfunding equity to non-accredited investors. That means people that you know that make less than $100,000 a year, maybe don't have $1 million in equity, can actually go on to crowdfunding site and get, and you can get an equity investment from them. Now, it's so new that they haven't really built out the platforms like the Kickstarter platforms for them. Although what I read was Indiegogo is thinking of launching an equity partner site for people that want equity and not rewards. And Seed Invest, they probably will as well. And the nice thing about something like that is that could be where you drive your friends and family. So instead of having to do a lot of that you know, outreach on your own, you can create this website and invite them to look at it. Now, the thing about the crowdfunding for non-accredited investors is that you do have to file with the SEC, and you are going to have disclosure requirements. So it is going to cost you more money up front. And if you don't reach your goal, you don't get any of the money, but now you've sunk a lot of money into the costs because you have to put all this. And if you raise more than $500,000, you're required to do audited financial statements, which will cost you anywhere from $30,000 to $50,000 a year. The thing about attracting investors is they want a big return. So you're going to have to show some growth, but it's got to be realistic. I mean, when you do the SEC, you're going to have to state how much of a return you're going to give the equity investors. And once you've met that return, you would probably have the ability to buy them out. You know, specialty lenders are outside of traditional banking. They're part of what you call the shadow banking system. And these are people that will loan money to startups, and they do it in the form of equipment leasing, small business loans, asset-based loans, factoring, merchant cash advances. These are companies like National Funding or Can Capital, BizFi. Some of these companies do require that you be in business for even a couple of months and that you have a certain minimum monthly gross revenue, but some of them don't. And so the cost of this specialty finance will be completely dependent on the history of your business, your personal credit history, and the type of in the industry that you're in. And so it can range anywhere from 5 to 6% to 70% for things like merchant cash advances. And that sounds horrible, but the nice thing about a merchant cash advance is you get your money right away. So if you need the money and you need the cash right away, you probably can overcome that cost. And it's usually a temporary thing until you get your business launched, and then you can move out of that kind of financing. And the other one is vendor financing, which, let's say you want to open a gym and you want to put all Precor equipment in. Precor will finance that equipment for you. They usually partner with a bank or a finance company or something, and they'll do that for you. So those are all. So now you want to maybe go to the SBA, because you've heard the SBA is a great way to start a business, get a business loan. First thing you have to realize is that you have to go to a traditional bank to get an SBA loan. And people think that small banks give more small business loans, but they really don't. The actual #1 business lender, small business SBA lender in the country is Wells Fargo. So the challenge people have with SBA is that you do have to exhaust your personal resources. You have to provide a personal guarantee. If you have even $10 of equity in your home, they're going to take it. The fees are very high, but the interest rates are low, especially as they relate to specialty finance. And the paperwork is burdensome. Even I had a veteran I talked to, I forget who it was, who said that, oh, I tried that Veteran Express system through the SBA. It's been 90 days and I still haven't heard from them. So there is a veteran part of the SBA program where you're supposed to be able to get express response for your SBA application. I don't know if it works. You'd have to tell me. And he's saying no, it doesn't work. If you're up and running and you're making money, you can actually get a traditional bank loan. But generally speaking, they want 2 to 3 years of operating history, and that operating history has to show cash flow and net income. You're also going to you're going to have to provide personal guarantees. They may also take equity in your home, and but it's cheap, and they're going to take collateral. Whatever business asset you have, they're going to take. But it is the cheapest alternative out there if you can qualify. Now, if you're going to buy a business, this is probably the first place you'd go, because you wouldn't buy a business that didn't have ongoing operating positive income. And they would generally finance that as long as you could prove to them you're either keeping management in place. That's actually what